What a damn shame, boy. I went through all the emotions with it. Well, not the emotions. Yeah, I went through all the emotions with this because I thought one thing was going to happen and then the other thing happened. Anna, you ain't shit, girl. You ain't shit. Dang, that's crazy. But if y'all new here, hit subscribe. Do it real quick. Do it real quick. And I'm laughing because also, like I said, I wasn't gonna do episodic here. I am doing 1 and 2 in the same night. But 3, 4, and 5 probably gonna be all together tomorrow. But if you're new here, hit subscribe. Do that real quick. Thumbs up the video. Do that real quick. Free of charge. Helps me out so much with pushing the video into the algorithm. We on the road to 15K. Let's do that. Get in the comments. Let me know y'all's thoughts on episode what 2. No spoilers. Keep the spoilers out of the chat. But I'm trying to get through it. I'll probably be done 3, 4, and 5. I think I should be able to get those done tomorrow. Fingers crossed for 6 so we can be ready for 7 and 8. I know they dropped that Wednesday. Probably won't get to 7 and 8 until Thursday. But yeah, let's go. So we pick up where we left off, which was Allie and Anton's first meeting. She's crying initially and like happy tears, not bad tears. But he tried to kiss her and she turned his face and put it to her cheek. I was like, uh-oh. But she moved it back and she eventually kissed him and whatever. He loves looking at her. You can tell he probably was thinking that she was pretty, but he wasn't expecting her to be as pretty as she was. You can tell that he's looking like, oh shit, she might be out of my league. That's what I got from it. But he tells her like it's so shocking how good looking she is. They seem to be vibing. A lot of kisses, the body language, the body contact, all of that is looking towards into each other. Like it seems like it's just easy for them, which is kind of suspicious. But she says seeing him, she's speechless, and it was perfect. They seem too good to be true. We'll see if that still stands, but right now it's good. We then move back into the pods with Madison and Joe. They have their second conversation. They're talking about wanting kids. He, red flag. There's a lot of red flags in this episode. I don't know if they're probably going to come up later on in the episodes, in the future episodes. But I picked up on a lot of red flags in a lot of these couples, and we're going to get to them. We're going to talk about them, and we'll see if I'm right. I typically am right whenever I pick up these red flags. But he tells her that his lease is up in July, and he said that he was going to get a place close to work. He then asked, pretty much states, like, if I had my wife, would you want me to move in? I said, sir. And then I said, Madison, you better take note. That's a red flag. If anything, she's moving in with you. A man moving in with his woman, that's not a good sign. I'm gonna just tell you that now. A man should, me as a man myself, that would be, I would feel, is it demasculinated or emasculinated? Regardless, I would feel less of a man doing that. You should be the one, like you moving into her place. That's just. But she says, like, I mean, if we're married, I would want to live with you. But we would have to figure that out because I don't want to feel like you're coming into my own space. I said, exactly. Take note. But she says, like, they're aligning on big things. And I'm like, is that not a big thing? Because that's a big thing. But she says they're aligning on big things. She states, too, that she has an eye condition. She lets him know that she has an eye condition. It's hard. She has a hard time seeing in low light and peripherally. I can't say it. Peripherally. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. But she tells him that it could get worse and it could end up leading to blindness, which I'm like, damn. If y'all been watching me, especially the last week, y'all know I've been having issues with my ear. It's finally coming back, y'all. It's finally coming back. But just from that alone, I haven't been able to really fully hear in my ear the last week. It's back now. Like, I'm almost positive it's about 99% back. But imagining being blind like that's hard. That's hard. Like, I feel for her completely. But he then asked, like, pretty much like, would it happen for sure? Like, would you really get blind, like be fully blind? And she's like, I don't know for sure. It's just really dependent on the person. But she says too, like, there's nothing that can really be done. Like, that's what it is. And that's why she signed up for the show, because I mean, essentially what she could be experiencing is basically what she's experiencing now, like Love is Blind. But she then tells him that she understands that it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to think about. He states that he would love to help her and take care of her. If she is his wife, he will do all of that. It doesn't change anything about how he feels about her. And she's obviously relieved. So that's good for them in the moment. We then meet Nick and Kate. Very youthful energy from these two. Like, very youthful. Like, they give off a young vibe. So he thinks that kids getting hurt is hilarious. I know what he's trying to state, but it just came off weird. It came off weird to me. Like stating that it seems weird. Like, but me, I understand what he's stating. Like, if a kid falls or whatever, the shit sometimes is funny. It ain't even just about just it being kids. Like anybody falling, to me, sometimes I naturally laugh. I laugh at my own self when I fall. When I fall, I'm automatically laughing. But he then asked her, like, what's your pickup line? She pretty much says she's not aggressive naturally. He tells her that he loves talking to her. And she also tells us that she was once engaged. This was crazy. She says she was once engaged, and 3 months after she lost her mother, he cheated on her while she was grieving. I said, what a fucking asshole. Like, that's cold. Like, what? But she then says, like, they were physically connected, which might have made her ignore those red flags. I said it. She says she feels so secure with Nick. She loves how he doesn't question them. Like, she feels secure in their connection. Well, she then asked Nick if there's any questions that he has about her. And he was like, I mean, you've pretty much reassured everything for me. I feel reassured with you and by you. He feels strongly that she could be what he's looking for. I said, okay, we'll see. She's reacting. She's liking what she's hearing. She tells him that it's mutual, and he's been pretty much consistent with her from the start. And she loves his empathetic nature. But we then see she's not his only option. Nick has Annie as well, and he says that she's his wild card. In my opinion, Annie is not for him. Definitely watching this one conversation alone, I was like, yeah, no. But we found out they live about a couple of hours away from each other, but he's curious of what their connection could be. So she then asked him, like, is he still having fun right now, or is he starting to get serious? Basically stating, like, do you feel like you kind of are leaning towards one way? So he then tells her that it's getting serious and he wants somebody that he can grow with. And she ends up asking, like, do you feel like you're ready to get married? He says yes. He then says as well that he doesn't believe, red flag, here it comes. He doesn't believe in gender roles. He can't be a strong man all the time, fighting all the battles. He doesn't want to feel like he's got to be going into war essentially all the time, fighting all the battles. And he needs somebody next to him. I said, that's an interesting mindset, because me as a man, I always want to feel strong. There's not one instant where I ever want to feel weak. And with him stating that, I'm like, that's... So she then starts talking about, like, everything turning her on and whatever, and he looks very uncomfortable. Like, he looked very uncomfortable. But he then asked her what's her craziest place she had sex. She said something about a balcony. He claims that he's getting turned on, talking about his sex drive and whatever. He's cracking jokes. She's laughing. They seem to have similar humor, but I'm not getting romantic connection from these two. And she pretty much confirmed that, letting us know that Brendan is in fact her number one. They agree on just about everything. So we then see their conversation. He was like, they have a good time. Like, they have a great time no matter what. But he's pretty much, it's like a matter of trying to figure out who they are together. But they start talking about their childhood. Both have had good childhoods. He wants to provide for his kids. She loves hearing that. She's giddy. Like, just talking to him, the energy that you see from her when it comes to Brendan than it was to Nick, it's clear she feels more of a romantic spark with Brendan than she does with Nick. And that's very apparent. And I like it for her. I like her with Brendan better than Nick. But Brendan tells us that she is his top choice and he can clearly see a future with her. So I said, okay, this could be good. We'll see. But in the headquarters, I had to talk about this. You see my thumbnail. Edmund, I told y'all in the episode recap that I just posted, something about him just gives off goofy, which gives off childish. And this nigga is laying in this damn headquarters on the floor. Everybody's sitting around him and he's laying face down on the floor, kissing the dirty ass floor. And Brendan was me. Brendan's sitting there eating his food, looking at him like, nigga, you sitting here kissing this dirty ass floor. I said, Calabria. Calabria. But we go to the women's headquarters where Calabria's pretty much telling the girls like she need an alpha male. You got a kid over here. Like, that's what you got. But she did tell us that she feels like Edmund is like her best friend, which I can see that. Like, he seems like very good energy, but like he's a child. That's not somebody that she could get, from what I can tell, that's not somebody that she could be serious with. Like, truthfully, be really serious with. But he's like a best friend to her, and she feels safe with him, and they're just able to have fun and get serious. I said, okay, but he's sitting here. And he was on the ground spinning on his ass. I said, what the fuck is going on? But they have their conversation, the second conversation that we see. But she talks about how, and again, she's driving the conversation, which that's a red flag because he's really not that interested in her because he ain't really asking her any questions. She's kind of leading him to, like, she'll ask him a question that gives him a good follow up to ask her. It's not anything that he's thinking of on his own, which I feel like she needs to allow him to do that so she can really see how he's really feeling about her. But not only that, just like his thought process, like to really get a gauge on who he is. But she then starts talking about trying to figure out how to love him, but she's not trying to figure out who to love. So basically, she's locked in on him. I say interesting. So he then says that he loves feeling wanted, like the fact that she's pretty much letting him know that she actually wants him. That's what he likes to hear. And she says, yeah, it's important to me going into a relationship being happy with who I am, because she previously went into a relationship pretty much depending on her partner to give her that happiness that she now has within herself. And she says she realized that that was toxic, which it absolutely is. That's why I stayed on that. That's what I said. If y'all been watching me from Love Island this past season with old girl Huda, I said that all season. You can never go into a relationship when you're not even happy with yourself. And she was not happy with herself. We already knew that, which led to a toxic relationship that was going on the show. But she then asked him what made him find peace, and he says his rollerblading community. I'm laughing because it sounds childish, but I mean, he found it, so as long as he found it, that's all that matters. But he then says that he knows that he has the support. So she was like, okay, that's amazing to hear. In my mind, I was looking at how she was reacting to it. It was like, that's it. But she then starts talking about how her family would be treating him like he's their son. And he pretty much states the same thing. My mom would be happy to meet you. I feel like she would love you as much as she loves me. So she then asked him, like, how did you go about forgiving her considering everything that she put you through? As we all know, like with his childhood, he was in and out of the foster care system due to her and his father. But he then says that he knows that she loves him. That's essentially what kept him forgiving her, is that he knows that she loves him, and he just doesn't want her missing out on his life because of the past, and he just approaches everything with a positive mindset, which is a good mindset to have. I don't know how I could do that in that situation. Me personally, the way I look at stuff like that, I don't feel like, I personally don't feel like you can truly love your child if you put your child through that shit. Me personally, I don't. I have family members, my cousins, that were actually in and out of the foster care system. Their parents, it doesn't give off love. Like, if you can put your child through that type of shit because of the stuff that you did, and the reason why they were in the foster care system was because of their parents doing things that they know they shouldn't have done, which they knew was going to put their kids in rough situations, and continue to do that, which in turn has those kids experiencing trauma. Me personally, I feel as a parent, that is your duty. When you bring these kids into this world, you have to make sure that you're doing everything to keep them protected. And you doing all of these things that get your kids taken from you and then putting them in foster homes, I don't feel like you love your kid. But I mean, good for him with that positive mindset. It just couldn't be me. But she then tells him that she doesn't talk to her dad. And pretty much he was an absentee parent. She feels like she's grieving somebody who's not even gone. He's still alive, but she don't talk to him. It basically feels like he's not here. So she basically tells us too that she wanted a relationship with him. She vocalized that with him. He just don't get it. And she then says too, like, the problem for her is not knowing if he loves her. Like, him stating that he knows that his mom loves him has her pretty much thinking the same, or at least wanting to feel the same. But she states too that it made her be as strong as she is now when she didn't want to have to be as strong. And she says she acts like she's okay with him not being in her life, but she doesn't know if she really is okay with that. It's clear that she's not okay with that. It's just she's trying to be strong and be okay with it, because essentially that's what it seems like. That's what it's going to be. It's like he's just not going to be in her life, which I hate that for her. But he then tells her that she's tough, and she's like, yeah, I'm tired of being tough. He then tells her, like, you can be soft with me. And he tells her that he'll be there for her. He wants to hold and kiss her, and tells her that everything's going to be all right. He tells her that she's like his best friend already. She's sitting there cheesing. I'm like, we're going to see. I can't wait to see how this ends, because so far she eating up everything he's putting down. I can't wait to see. I hope they do make it out the pod, because I want to see how she reacts to how he acts in real time. But we then see Megan and Jordan, the single dad. So she ends up telling him that he's the only person that she feels she has an idea of what he looks like. I'm like, why are we talking about this? Love is blind. Y'all should not be talking about what each other looks like until y'all get out and see what each other looks like. But they're laughing about it. She tells us that he brings out the inner child in her, which I can see that. And she's like, it's just the best friend vibe. That I can see too. She said, but she's also really secure with Mike because he's secure, he's composed, he knows what he wants, he got his shit put together, and they're more aligned, and his age is what attracts her to him. I said, interesting. That's what attracts you to him. But I can see, I feel like her best connections are between Mike and Blake. Like, I can see her liking the security that Mike brings, but I feel like Blake will bring the security, and I feel like he'll bring a more fun side out of her. But Mike, their conversation, she was relaxed in this conversation. She tells us that she feels like she could see herself engaged to him. With Blake, they start talking about like weddings and stuff, pricings of weddings. She talks about how one of her friends is having a wedding. He could be a +1. But like I said, I feel like with Blake, I feel like she'll have more fun with him. But he tells us that each conversation that he has with her, he feels like he gets to know her a little bit better. But he also states too that Anna is his top connection right now. I said, interesting. He feels more comfortable with her. He says her energy, and she's like his happy place in there. I said, that's interesting. But we then move to their conversation, and they're in the pods, and their pods is kind of like a low-key, like a camping vibe. So they're sitting there roasting marshmallows, having like lighthearted conversation. They start talking about like doing these little games and stuff where they have these little questions or whatever. And he likes lighthearted kisses, but he obviously likes making out. She likes forehead kisses, and he ends up asking her too if has she ever ghosted somebody. I didn't know this was going to be foreshadow, but it was foreshadow. She was like, what is ghosting? She says that she feels like she has if they had like just been talking, or at least like one day where their text started getting dry or whatever, but she's never done it if they've been like dating consistently. He hasn't either. But she then states that if she's not feeling it, she has no problem ending it. She then tells us that she essentially has more fun and has had the most fun with Blake today. She can tell that he's genuine. She wants the long-term things that he wants, but she can't decide between him and Patrick because they both have understood that they both might be, well, not might be, but they both are Asian. And she says too, like her dating history has typically been white guys, but there's a vulnerable side in Patrick that she actually likes, which is interesting because Blake is what she's used to. Patrick is not. But we then see Patrick with Casey. Ooh, this scene. He tells her that he likes her challenge, or he tells us that he likes her challenging his thoughts and her competitive nature, and they have good chemistry, and she knocks out every box. She then ends up asking him if he feels an attraction, or if he feels attraction was important to him before coming in there. And he was like, yeah, because he didn't know any different. She states the same, and she then tells us too that her dad and her stepmom, they're very attracted to each other. So her dad had a main concern with her coming there about the fact that she's not going to be able to really see who she's talking to. And he was like, good luck. Attraction and passion is important. And you basically don't get yourself into something where you can't even see the person. That comes off kind of odd, but then again, it is true. Like when you sit and think about it, I do feel like it's true. It seems like it's kind of harsh, but like I guess I feel like it depends on the person. Some people just go strictly off personality. Me personally, I go off personality and physical attraction. Like I feel like you have to be physically attracted to the person that you are in a relationship with for it to fully work. That's just me personally. If you disagree, you let me know down there. But Patrick, he starts talking about his insecurities, about not being accepted for his ethnicity, and he's been the one, basically the only one in his class. Basically, he's talking about like growing up in Colorado. He's been the only Asian. He didn't tell her that yet, though. But she then asks, like, do you not want to share? Because he's pretty much alluding to the fact that he's not white. So she asked, does he want to share? He says he doesn't mind, but you can clearly see he's uncomfortable and low-key scared to do it, which throughout this, I started feeling bad for him. I was like, at first, I was like, just tell her. Because I was like, I don't want you to feel like you have to be embarrassed to do it. Because in that moment, watching, I'm like, why are you embarrassed? But we'll get to it. But she was like, okay. And as this interaction started, I could tell the type of person that she was. We'll see if I'm right, though. But he then asked, like, if she feels like he should share. And she says yes. There was a long pause. She then says, or where your parents are from. Basically, like, tell me what you are. Like, if you don't want to tell me what you are, tell me where your parents are from so I can put two and two together. But he then says, let me think it through. I said, damn, he is really going through it. I was like, this shit, like, his insecurities have built a lot of trauma for him, which I hate that for him. I hate it. But she's wondering why he's so hesitant. And he was like, I just don't want to be judged. And she says, okay. Like, the way she said it didn't make him, personally, if I was him, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. Because the way she was talking and reacting to it, it didn't seem like she genuinely was wanting to really know for good. Like, the way she was responding made it seem like she was hesitant. Like, he might say he's a race that I might not like. The way her tone was, that's how it gave. And then her body language did too. Like, watching her, obviously he couldn't see it, but we could see it. And the way she was moving, I was like, oh yeah, no. But he then says that he can share it, but he struggles through it. But he lets her know that his parents are from South Asia. And she's like, okay, again, like you could tell she's thinking as he's talking. Her body language was stating everything she was stating, her body language was saying something completely different. But he then asks if she's dated an Asian guy before, and she says she hasn't. She then tells him that she's sorry that he feels uncomfortable when he has to tell people what his ethnicity is. But he starts talking about how people have pretty much stated that they weren't attracted to him because he essentially was Asian, and they don't know how much that hurts, which I hate that for him. Like, I could tell, like, that shit has really gotten so much trauma, enforced so much trauma on him and inflicted so much on him. But the way that she was acting, she probably one of them people. Like, the way she was acting makes me think that she's probably one of those people that would judge him for being Asian. And I was like, I feel bad for him. I did. I wrote it down in my notes. But she then tells him that it doesn't change anything for her. Me personally, I don't believe it. Her body language said a completely different story. But he ends up asking her if she's white. She is, obviously. And she then states, like, you don't have to worry about me being Mormon because we're very accepting. She talks about how one of her brothers only dates Asian girls. One of them has a half black girlfriend and one of them has a Mexican girlfriend. But she then states too that they love, like, her brothers would love to see her with an Asian guy because they're sick of fuckboy white dudes. I said, what? What? But he didn't tell, because I didn't feel like that was genuine. I felt like she was just stating that to try and make him feel good. Like, nothing about that seemed genuine to me. But he then tells us that he's trying to figure out, or at least figure her out more, and that conversation needed to happen, which I feel like it did. Like, I feel like he shouldn't have to hide that part of himself, which, I mean, I understand why he's doing that, but if you don't feel comfortable enough to do that with her and tell her who you really are, then you don't need to be with her. That's not your person. And if she reacts in a way that you don't want, that's not your person. You needed to, I feel like he needed to tell her that. I know it was uncomfortable for him to do it, but it was important for him to do that before he got his feelings too involved. And then whenever he got his feelings involved and say he got on one knee and proposed to her and she turned him down because of that, or at least if she took if she accepted the proposal, they met, and then she saw him and saw that he was Asian and she didn't like that, that'd have been even worse. But Anna and Patrick, they have their conversation. She talks about her parents pretty much not knowing that she's there, and she's worried about her mom because her mom is not going to be able to contact her for some weeks. Going on this show, she states, like, just with their culture, with immigrant families, it's just not normal. And she then states too, like, her mom, like, her and her mom have had a complicated relationship until recently. And she says that her mom had pretty much had, like, a hard life growing up, and she just couldn't comprehend the fact that her and her daughter would be disagreeing on certain things. And she feels like it's a cultural thing, and she starts crying, and she states that she's embarrassed. He tells her, like, it's not embarrassing to cry. She states that she just wants to make sure that her parents are taken care of. He obviously agrees as well. And he ends up asking, like, does anybody else in here know that you're Asian? And she was like, I mean, obviously the girls do, but I don't think anybody else does besides him. And she then tells him that typically she would eliminate a guy because he's Asian. I said, that's interesting. And she then says too that she feels more attracted to him, talking about Patrick. And he agrees as well. But she then asks him too if he feels like this is more of a friendship attraction. He says yes. And he pretty much asks her the same. She agrees. I think at this moment in time, I started looking at his body language. To me, I didn't get that he was, like, starting to feel what she was feeling. I feel like he was trying to force himself to feel it because of the dissension, or at least from what I feel like he was feeling from that previous conversation. But she then says their second conversation made her want to pretty much have more of a more romantic connection than just the homie vibes that she initially had gotten. And he said that he had felt the same and he felt like he was fighting it. He then says too that he feels like she might be his person and they might actually be really compatible. Even though I said what I just said, I feel like these two probably are better fit for each other. I feel like her and Blake, I feel like they have a friend connection. I feel like him and Casey, I just don't feel like that's going to work. It's clear there's cultural differences. I feel like these two make more sense together. I feel like they're more comfortable with each other. I feel like they would work together. But she's clearly feeling it in the moment. Like, she's clearly feeling it. And I said, I hope this is the choice. I wrote this in parentheses before I saw what happened at the end. I said, I hope this is the choice for both of them. But she then talks about how she has a good guess of what his upbringing is. He was like, go for it. She thinks that he's Korean. He's like, nope. She's like, what? Japanese? He was like, nope. His stepdad is half Japanese, though, because he tells her his last name, and that's what made her go like, what, you're really not Japanese? But she asked if he's Chinese. He says he's half Chinese and Cambodian, and she was like, that's so hot. If y'all don't know me, I can't stand that phrase. I can't stand when people be like, that person's hot, this is hot. Something about it just makes me cringe. But he ends up asking what she is. She says Chinese. He says the same thing. That's really hot. I said, but she was like, really? And he was like, yeah. But I personally feel like, and I wrote this in that moment, just looking at his body language, it just gave off like he was trying to force himself to feel what she was feeling. But it's interesting because I literally wrote in parentheses, I hope this doesn't go bad for her. Wait on it. But Joe heads on into the pods to go propose to Madison. She tells him that she loves him. He says he feels the exact same way. He proposes. She accepts. Good for them. We'll see what happens. But we get to the women's headquarters where Anna is now talking to one of the girls, stating if she felt like she judged the way. Did she tell this to the girl? I don't think she did. I think she told us this. But she's stating that she felt judged in the past by the way that she looked. And she feels like she might have been shallow. And Blake essentially has been the safe choice for her and has been safe for her. And maybe she wouldn't have given Patrick a chance in the real life, like in real world. But she feels comfortable with him, which is why I'm like, that's why you should go with him. But she starts getting emotional, realizing like, I'm realizing a lot of shit going on in here. But the men's headquarters, Patrick is telling the boys that he feels like Anna's ready. Like, he feels ready. And I can understand why he feels that way because of the last conversation they had, she was pretty much laying it on thick. Like, I feel like I like you. Like, the way she was, like, everything she was giving was like, I'm all in yours. Like, I got all my eggs in your basket. But he then says that they have so much chemistry, and they show another conversation that they had prior to this one, or at least after that one. And the energy was different. Like, his energy was different. Like, he was giving her all of that energy that I didn't see in that last conversation that we had saw. He was more vocal about how he felt about her. But he goes on into that pod. And I'm almost positive he was about to propose to her. And he's hello, Anna, hello. That woman ghosted him after she just stated to Blake that if she wasn't feeling it, she would be upfront with it. Why did you not go in there and tell that man that you was having cold feet? Like, that's crazy. And I feel so bad for him. I feel bad for him because I feel like he's gonna end up choosing old girl and getting his heart broken. Because Casey is not the one for him. I'm almost positive she's not. What a mess. But if y'all got this far, give me that. Episode 3, I'm going to probably do that tomorrow. I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to do my notes tomorrow. And then I'm probably going to do episode 3, 4, and 5 all together. But thumbs up the video. Get in the comments on episode 2. Let me know what y'all think about this. Don't tell me about the rest. But subscribe, share the video, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.